face.
Okay, I'm going to show how to make barge spirals. So the normal method for a spiral, if I were to use containers, or my normal method anyway, usually use a lines to count how far along I want it to be, see how steep I want the spiral to go. Make sure it's tucked in, because if it's all got an edge out or anything like that, you're going to break. So it has to be sunk in, trying to line the lines up as best as possible. Drop that in. How many lines did I get there? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the fifth one. One, two, three, four. And get it all lined up. Make sure again it's tucked in nicely, and so on and so forth. Now it's a little harder with the barges because you can't place them next to each other very easily. So if I were to try and do it just holding the barge, trying to get close, and it jumps up, I can't mess about with the thing, it's pain. Okay, so I've got this prop here, I can re-pick back up. It's the exact same line as this one is. So if I'm messing about, twisting, turning any of the other props to use for anything while I'm making this, I can quickly go back over to this. And get my alignment back. Okay. Want to use this prop again. Drop it roughly there. Okay. Template that. And now there are two different versions. Obviously if I want to use the invisible part, it's really hard to see where you're tucking it in, the way I tucked it in with the containers. So I can make a tighter spiral that way, and that is just like using the containers. Still kind of hard to see, but you can see what I'm doing. Drop it in. I would again re-template and carry on and build the spiral, and that would look like my onion rings spiral. So this time around, I've not built one of these before, but I want to use that invisible part so I can make the spiral a little bigger. This won't be a universal method. I've had to think of how this has been done today and come up with a method for myself. There might be the easier methods out there, but this is the one I'm going with. If you swap through the props and you go past dynamic, sometimes it changes the angle. The angle's not exactly the same as what you've been using. It's not done at that time, but it does it to me all the time. So again, I want my leveling prop, or my angle prop this time, sorry. And I'm going to find signs There we go. And that. And place that on the top there. Now depending on where I place it, depends on the angle the spiral is going to go at. I put it roughly about there. Okay. Now, let me just break out that sign again actually. There's a good prop for it. So, see the invisible bit lasts quite far out and then drops off. So I want to be able to tuck the barge in just like I would with containers, but I can't see what I'm doing, which is why I've used this sign. Make sure the edge aligns with that, so the angle of the spiral will be the same the whole way through. And I can see as it's tucked slightly under the sign that it's going to be tucked into the invisible part of the spiral. So I can drop that in, create a new template. Now I always want this sign on the last barge. I'll explain that a little bit later, but always include the last sign in your template. Try and get my angles about the same as well, so it's smooth. Okay, and keep templating. Don't forget that last sign. Okay, now as you start to go upside down, it gets harder and harder to see what you're doing with the sign. So I've templated that, I'm going to get rid of that. So I can still see what I'm doing when I'm leveling. And the angle's roughly correct. Okay. Create the template again. Notice I'm leaving that one sign in there because I can keep using it. But it doesn't have to be a part of this template. Get rid of that again. This might be a slightly painstaking method because I'm only adding 4 every time, but I can see what I'm doing easily this way. Whereas if you try to add to the spiral while it's upside down, you can't quite see what you're doing. You're going to end up with bumps. and bricking issues. And again carry on. Eventually you'll reach the point. You've got quite a fair sized spiral going on. So I'll place my last template in. And this is where having the sign on the other end of the spiral is useful. Once again, I'm going to need to see where I'm tucking it in, and I can't do that without having that sign there. And the spiral just carries on. And obviously it is worth checking that what you've done works smoothly. Not the most convenient place to have built it for demonstration, but never mind. Doesn't matter, I'll put that in there. I can press triangle and get rid of it. So, let's see how smooth this is. Fingers crossed. Making it very hard to use the pad. No, all seems to be tucked in okay. And if I want to, hopefully, it's smooth enough that I can go back. And that's how I'm making barge spirals. The more time you take to get your heights right and getting the barges tucked in as smoothly and neatly as possible, obviously the smoother the spiral will be. Hope you found this helpful. Catch you next time.